only sustain 4 buildings. And that is what would be best for all of our students. And in a way, the 5 buildings is a compromise on my part.
Of course, we're sustaining 4 buildings right now.
Well, that's right.
And we're sustaining 2 5-6 buildings.
But I don't think that's George,
and
may I finish? Since I don't think, you know, you've posed a question to me, and I don't think that 5-6 buildings are good educational structure for our students.
Well, and I appreciate that, but the fact of the matter is that decision was made 10 years ago, and the community's lived with it. And, you know, at some point in here, my reaction to all this is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I guess $58 million or $62 million to build 5 new elementary schools when we only have 4 now could be a panacea for all of the, I'll label them operational snafus that all of us, it drives all of us crazy in terms of counselors and class sizes and everything else. And it's an issue we have every year. And I guess what I've heard from the community is we're willing to live with that, to maintain the status quo. I don't dispute for a minute, Rima, that if we were to do that next fall at Myers, somebody would walk up to you and start complaining about their counselor or their lack thereof. Or somebody else will call or email and complain about the size of their child's class. I just don't think building 5 new elementary schools when we only have 4 right now is going to solve those problems. I get exactly what you guys are saying. I respect your opinions. That's why I refer to it as the money bully. And I know I'm losing this argument. I'm not trying to convince you of anything now, but I just think it's unfortunate that we're putting so much into that this thing is going to be some global solution to a whole set of problems. And I don't believe that, and I guess that's going to dictate my votes tonight. So I really appreciate what all of you are saying. I understand what you're saying. I have my own view of it, that's all.
George, why would you say we only have 4 elementary buildings? I don't know where this idea came from.
Well, we do have
4 K4
we have
4
4
K4
K4
2
buildings.
5 6.
Well, we have 6 elementary buildings.
It really, yes.
Well, I don't think it's a small point. I mean, we're operating 6 elementary buildings right now.
But we're delivering services to our K4 students as though there were, because there are 4. We are delivering them with 4 buildings to our K4 students.
And we're delivering 2 to our 5-6 students. I mean,
Right.
And if they're asking for a K6 school, then they're asking for 6 K6 schools. So they're simply asking for the building blocks to be shuffled so that the 6 schools we have now are 6 schools in a different fashion.
I don't agree with that, because we would then be distributing the children over 6 schools. We would have fewer sections, larger classes.
Right, I understand.
So
I
I do think there's a
but they're still elementary schools.
Well, yes, you know, that's a
Let me help a little bit here.
point of nomenclature, but not of actual practice.
First of all, Gail, could you read back the motion? Donna, I think you made that I was sort of detained there coming in. What's the motion on the table right now?
Board of Education moves 6th grade to a separate wing at McDonald Middle School with sinking fund money that would leave all 6 buildings open K5 and task the superintendent with identifying what to do with those 6 buildings and return to the board with a recommendation.
Okay. I can appreciate, where you're coming from there. My input administratively, and I think, we have to acknowledge this. If you want to stay status quo, you really can't go to 6 K5 schools. Status quo really has to be the current configuration, which is 4 K4 schools and 2 5-6 schools, because when we get into that issue of one section, and there's been some speculation about 4 schools versus 5, in my mind, the genesis for that was the input from the community and the investment in the East Lansing community at a higher level than 4 schools. So I don't think it's reasonable. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate your motion. I understand I think I try to understand what you're trying to do, Donna, but I don't think it's reasonable for us to provide effective instruction across the table or across the community with 6 K-5 schools. There would be a greater possibilities of 1 section per grade level. There would be greater possibilities of split classrooms, combination classrooms. So if we stay status quo, I don't think, I would suggest that we not think in terms of a 6-8 middle school, rather continue with the 5-6 schools if you want to keep all 6 buildings open. I think that's pretty apparent to the administrative team as we would review that and would suggest that we not really consider that. If you want to keep all schools open, I'd say the current configuration is better than what we have on the table. My input, and I hope you consider that.
Well, one of the main motivators for me, and from the beginning of this whole process, was that I wanted to eliminate the number of transitions our students go through.
Right.
And so either by doing a K-6 or K-5 with 6-8 would do that. Continuing with the current configuration does not address that principal issue that I think we heard from the community committee and from all the board members sitting at this table at an earlier meeting.
One of the things that you said, Donna, about the working proposal, or whatever you want to call it, the September 8 proposal, that you didn't think, met some of the motivators that got us, that have been driving all of us to look into these issues for a couple of years now. I guess I would have to say that I agree, completely agree, in the transition issues for all the reasons that we know and people in the audience know. One of the takeaways from the K-8 Facility Committee that I think is really powerful is, and I've confirmed this with several of them over the weekend just to make sure that I was somewhat clear-headed tonight, is that the transitions were unanimous concern. Eric, help me if I'm not getting this. Transitions were unanimous as a significant concern, that they felt we needed fewer transitions, that the condition of the buildings was a significant concern and really needed to be addressed, and that the current configuration wasn't sustainable. That's what I've heard from the people that I've spoken with. Maybe the third one you're not nodding as vigorously as the first 2. Fair enough. But I struggled with those 2, and it's pretty hard for me to consider a proposal that would leave the buildings the way they are for more study. I'm not certain what study would be necessary. It begs the question, what would we be talking about tonight if another school had been proposed? I would ask, George said, and correct me if I'm wrong, George, I thought you had said that you would vote no to close any school in the city of East Lansing, in any proposal that involved closing a school in the city of East Lansing.
That I would not vote for that.
That you would vote no on any proposal that included closing a school in the city of East Lansing. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm sorry, I'm not a good note taker, as you all discovered a few weeks ago. So I just want to take a moment to say that I have felt very protective of Donley School. And George obviously isn't the only one who has made comments like that. The city of East Lansing, the city council has said it publicly and privately. I really worry about some of the population at Donley School. And I've expressed this to some of you privately. And I think I really had one of the most difficult moments of my life when I deliver a Christmas dinner and Christmas gifts to people at Donnelly School. And I had a little child come up to me who had no coat. And I said something to Pam Andrews about it, and she said, oh, this was years and years ago, this isn't so unusual. Yeah, we have many, many children like this. And I started focusing on Donnelly School. I asked if I could have Donnelly School as my, as my board, to be the rep to Donnelly School. And it was through my work at Donnelly School that I really became very concerned about that population. So I want to say that I don't want to sit here and start comparing ethnicity percentages and all of that.